Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Elam again with our Week 4 overview. This will probably be a shorter overview than previous weeks. We have one literary text, like we did last week with Mallory's Le Morte d'Arthur, except that Julius Caesar will be reading it. We will be reading in its entirety. So, though it is always better to read texts in their entirety. This is for our online 205 class. This is our first whole text that we are reading. Now, Regent University just put on a production of Julius Caesar, and their production, I think, was performed in about an hour and a half. And in order to perform Julius Caesar in an hour and a half, significant cuts need to be made. But it was quite a remarkable production. It was very good. As many productions do, there were some alterations that I think helped to emphasize important matters in the play Julius Caesar. So Regent's production emphasized the question about whether or not Brutus is a good guy or a bad guy, and left the question open, which I think is absolutely a relevant topic to think about in regards to Julius Caesar. Other matters that are important in Julius Caesar might include the fickleness of crowds. I think it's remarkable that the crowd's attitudes change quite dramatically in a short period of time, at least a short period of stage time, and, maybe a short period of time generally. Mark Antony's speech, for example, right after Brutus's speech, where Mark Antony famously says, "I have not come to praise Caesar, but to bury him." I'm paraphrasing. That famous speech is part of this. There are a lot of famous lines you might recognize: "Beware the Ides of March," "E tu, Brute," that are taken from Julius Caesar that we use, just in culturally general ways. Another important matter that is probably not emphasized in the Blackboard shell, kind of the prepackaged course shell, is the matter of the sleeping servants. There are at least two significant places where Brutus thinks about his servants being asleep. And I do believe that Brutus's relationship to his servants mirrors in some ways Brutus's relationship to the public, and maybe even Brutus's attitude toward the public. He may see the public as being asleep in some way. So I think that's a relevant theme in Julius Caesar, especially when we consider that Brutus may not have the clarity of thought he thinks he has. Among the conspirators, the two that we see most fully developed are Brutus and Cassius, of course, and Brutus and Cassius are motivated very differently. It is safe to say that the two of them, even though they look for the same outcome, their reasons are almost they're not opposed to each other, but they are not really in sync with each other. Cassius is an envious personality. Brutus is a well-meaning, benevolent, in the technical sense of meaning goodwill. Brutus is a well-meaning character. It just happens that they find themselves on the same side. They do consider themselves friends. You'll see that in Acts 4 and 5. That'll be developed a little bit more. So there's no lasting animosity between Brutus and Cassius. There is a point of contention which is developed in the play, which puts them at odds in a significant way, almost dramatically breaking way. You'll see it when you get to it. So, again, the Regent production emphasized, do we consider Brutus a good guy or a bad guy? Is he as thoughtful and clear-sighted as he thinks he is, as others think he is. Consider too the character of Caesar compared to Brutus. They're different in a lot of ways, but maybe there are ways in which they are similar. Caesar is blind in ways that I think Brutus is blind. Caesar's blindness comes from pride, however, whereas Brutus's blindness may come from, again, thinking he's doing the right thing. Now, some might argue that it is a kind of pride on Brutus's part. I wouldn't argue against that. I'm not sure I see it quite that way, but I understand that reading of Brutus. I get it. In any case, I hope you enjoyed the text. I believe that we have a video link to a production of Julius Caesar through Regent's Library. Definitely watch it. They're meant to be seen, right? These plays were not meant in the first instance to be read, although playwrights did imagine them being read later on. In some Renaissance writing, for example, that discussion comes up. We're just not exploring it in this class. So, maybe a good strategy would be to have the text with you. You can look at it while the play is going on. I know it can be difficult to watch the play and then glance down at the text and try to keep your place. I understand that. Nevertheless, it might be advantageous to try and combine those two things together, the watching and the reading of the play. To class matters, there's another reading check for this week. So we didn't have one last week. We do have one again this week. If you are inclined to write your literary analysis paper on Julius Caesar and you want to turn it in this week, that's fine. Remember that you have until April 30th to turn in your literary analysis paper. That gives you some time to think about texts that are coming up in the class, maybe to write about them when they are fresh on your mind. So you don't have to wait until the 30th to turn it in. You could turn it in this week if you wanted to. It's up to you. You have a little bit of freedom. Next week will be the midterm exam. So I just want to make that announcement that it's coming up. It'll be 4 questions. And I will be looking for... it's in the questions themselves. I'm just letting you know. I'm not letting you know what the questions are, but there will be a component in the questions that says, show that you are aware of my discussion of these texts, of my, the video overviews, the answers to questions, and so on and so forth. So I want you to show that awareness, that you've been interacting, with all of the course matter, not just the prepackaged stuff, but, I as your professor, my insights as well. All right, I hope everybody has a good week. I will be looking through your questions, of course, and posting my answers to your question probably on Thursday or Friday. It just depends on how time is. Remember to have your question posted by the end of the day on Wednesday, which will give me enough time to think them through, and as you have been doing, send me to my bookshelves and my reference material to answer some of them. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a good week coming up. May the Lord bless you, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.